Oilerslive podcast. Oilerslive podcast.
Hey, it's Michael here for the second half hour of Oilers Live on the drive home. We're on Edmonton Sports Talk today as a friend of Edmonton Sports Talk. Special thanks to Dusty and the crew there for making that happen. Of course, you can find us over at youtube.ca/heavyhockey. While you're there, make sure you give us a subscription. I've got two guys from the Heavy Hockey Network. Mr. Mike Dursa does 97 Octane, and Josh Bolton does Tough Call Podcast. Welcome, guys. Josh, you're looking like you're going to fade away there a little bit. But
I was going to say, you got half of me. I feel like that guy on the top of the Polar Express.
That's exactly. It's all good. And for those of you listening in, that's you can come see Josh if you want to see him live and in person right now at youtube.ca/heavyhockey. Also, check us out on Twitter. We're at Heavy Hockey Net. Well, welcome, guys. We got lots to talk about. I was thinking for you guys, what I'd talk about is something that I might have talked about last game, which is Evander Kane and the a couple hits from behind that Mr. Kane has had lately that he seems like, some guys never get away with that stuff. And Evander Kane used to be that guy. But, I mean, what's going on here that's not being called? And am I wrong? Or are those not among the worst? I don't want to be a homer here. I mean, those are just plain bad calls, in my opinion. I'm going to start, Dursa, with your thoughts because I already know what Josh's thoughts will be on this. But Dursa, your thoughts on those, and where this is the direction we're going to take this half hour. So, first, your thoughts on the Kane hits, and you know the ones I'm talking about.
Yeah, I think Evander might be, not going all Evander Kane with some of those checks. Like he isn't really exploding through them. So maybe he gets a little bit of a pass there because he's not like putting people into the hospital with them. He's hitting them. He's finishing the check, but he's not like going full Jacob Trouba with them. So maybe he's getting off that way because people know he can bring more. I don't know what it is, but no, the last couple games he's gotten away with being a little bit on the edge.
Yeah, he has. He certainly has. I already know where Josh is going to go with this, but Josh, I'd love to hear your opinions on the two Evander Kane hits that happened.
Well, the one on Brodin, man, he's not exploding, he's not pushing, but he doesn't slow down. He's not stopping. It's not like he's looking around to see if Brodin knows where he's at. It's not like he's taking an angle. It's basically just skating into the end boards and bouncing off the end boards, and there happens to be a human being in there to break his fall, he doesn't push his arms out, so I guess it doesn't look so bad, but the velocity he gets and the force he gets out of all the speed he builds up, it's like the old practices that we used to train at. The idea was we used to be able to hook the guys at center ice. Some of you might not remember that rule. We used to practice that. You'd actually, if you were tired, you'd hook your stick into a guy's pants and let him drag you down the ice, and that wasn't a penalty. And that's how you slowed up the forecheckers. But obviously you can't do that anymore, and Kane is forechecking like he's back then and just going full on. He's not the only one, sadly, but, yeah, those were some bad ones. I don't know how he gets away with them.
So here's my thought on it, guys, because I mentioned this last night in the group chat. As you know, I would actually. There's a couple things. One is Evander Kane plays best when he's engaged like that. We know that, right? That was what pushed the turnaround for his game earlier this year. A little bit of anger, a little bit of a scrap. They're letting him get away with that. It's like it doesn't happen. Whereas if he'd spend a couple minutes in the box, he might, get a little bit angry about it at least and do something. Because I feel like lately he's been on a bit of a lull. But the other thing that I would love to see is them just call those properly rather than I feel like then the rest of the game I watch it and I think, okay, well, and the Islanders got away with one there, but I think, well, Edmonton got away with one, so now we're even. Call the next one. Do you know what I mean? Like I'm sitting there game managing the game in my head, and it's hard to even be a homer in those instances because they're obvious penalties. I just don't get it. I don't know, guys. Like, what do you think? I would just love to see them call the right thing all the time, even if it's against an Oilers player. But Evander Kane needs a bit of a pick me up. That might be the best spot for him to get it is in the box. Thoughts?
But I mean,
Anyone? Jump ball?
if it's a legal strategy, it's a legal strategy right now. So you might as well keep driving them. Sometimes you get called, sometimes you don't. So why would you stop?
Yeah, it really is.
As long as you can blame it on the guy you're hitting, you're all good, right? That's what they do.
It really is a roll of the dice as to whether or not a boarding call is going to get called in the NHL or not. So I don't blame Kane for keeping up what's been working for him.
Well, and you said something, Mike, which, I know you didn't mean it in this regard, but is the whole thing that should piss folks off that, care about the safety of the players, which is nobody got really injured, right? Nobody went to the hospital. So that's the standard by which we should,
That's what a
make
suspension
the call,
is, yeah.
right? That's not even the standard by which we suspend people. I mean, let's get real. I mean, there's no standards, right? Like there's, that's nothing. Yeah, I mean, this is obviously they should. I just want to see them call the game, right? And here I am, and I bring this up because here's something on the against the Oilers that I like to see them call, or for the Oilers. And for the most part, guys, like they, we're always yelling about stuff that's not called against us. In this instance, I'd just like to see them call the game properly. And I love Evander Kane, like as a player, watching him play when he's playing at his best. Let's talk now. Let's switch because I wanted to bring that up. There's a couple guys. Connor Brown, we talked about on the first half hour. There's some other guys need to get kind of going. McLeod, we thought was going to get going, and that didn't happen, right? In your mind, maybe Dursa, I'll start with you. Go with you, then Josh. After is like, who are the players that really need to get going for this team to get back on the winning track?
I love how you said "we" there in terms of believing in McLeod getting going. I think that was all you.
all right. I still think he's going to get going eventually, but we'll see.
Last night there was a couple opportunities where it looked like he was going to bust to the net and actually make something happen, and he kind of bailed out. Yeah, he would definitely be one. Connor Brown would be one, but I guess he's going to spend a night in the press box, allegedly, if you believe what Frank Saravelli said, which I think I probably do. I guess you could say Leon Draisaitl, although he scored last night, but he's been a little bit quiet lately. I mean, Evander Kane is another guy. He's been playing a physical brand of hockey, but hasn't scored in a while. Those would be the guys I would be wanting a little bit more from.
Yeah. Josh?
I don't know. I'm a bottom six guy right now. Where's Derek Ryan? Where's Janmark? Where are these guys? Where's Connor Brown? Like, we need the support players, and I'm not blaming them solely at all. I mean, the team's got to be better overall for sure, but there's no energy guy. There's no, and I hate to say it, the Clean Costin. There's none of that. McLeod looks like he wants to be that, but he keeps doing laps of a racetrack around the perimeter.
Yeah.
Eventually, he's got to make that turn and go for that. He's got to go for that pass, get inside, get himself dirty. These guys have to get themselves dirty. Listen to me saying that, but that's what they need to do. It's the type of toughness we need. We need a battler. We need someone to stir the pot a little bit here and get some energy.
Yeah.
And we haven't seen that enough. When they were on their losing streak, even I was sitting there crying, going, we need a line brawl. We need a Wings Avalanche, just all out. Something's got to give. Let's just go all in and pound somebody for the sake of pounding them, just to get something off their chest and focus on playing hockey.
So maybe we take that back to Evander Kane again. I mean, is he not the guy that sparks that sort of play? Like, isn't he the guy we're counting on? The instigator in our on our team, the guy that's supposed to be bugging the goalie every stretch, and I think he plays best when he's doing that. And I don't think he's necessarily stopped, but maybe he's got to give it a little bit more. I mean, what do you guys think? Who's going to take that? I like where you're going with that, Josh, because I think they're missing a little bit of that grit. And Dursa, you, like 100%. It was crazy watching McLeod. Like, I think we all kind of got at the edge of our seats last night when we saw him drive towards the net, and then he kind of, it was like, maybe not. Right? Kind of like about halfway, he almost hit the net. That's how like indecisive he was about whether or not he wanted to drive the net. Who's going to drive that? Like, who's the guy? Who's the straw that's going to stir the drink right now for this kind of grit? Jeez. Sorry, I'm looking at the comments, and got a surveyor Brett's online says, "Damn, I tuned in for Bruce McCurdy and got these two rubes."
Yeah, well,
welcome to the show, guys.
We should
love you too, Brett.
We should tell Brett I booked some marriage counseling for him because he's missed a lot of calls and his wife thinks he's cheating on him.
Jeez. Brett's a goalie, a ref. Same thing.
I've had that
for those of you that don't know.
I've had that bullet in the chamber for a few months, hoping he was going to come do a rip the ref segment.
Yeah. So anyway, back to what we're talking about. Thoughts on who's the guy? If it's grit that we need, and maybe Dursa, you think we need something else, but
no,
where are we getting it from?
I think we need more than Evander Kane. Like, you've got that guy that sort of is a presence, and he does do the physical things that makes us shake our head. But that's one guy, and you can't have your whole forward core have one guy that plays with a physical edge. I mean, good teams will have 3 or 4 of those guys. If you look at the Florida Panthers, there's Tkachuk, there's Bennett. They've got a few of them. Tampa, I mean, they're loaded with them. If you want to wear teams down, you need more than one guy that likes to push on people from your forward group. I mean, we've got Nurse and Ekholm kind of on the back end, but you need more on.
Who's our biggest guy right now? Gagne. Like that, isn't he? I mean, he's maybe the biggest guy. He's the guy that plays with the most heart.
The fourth line is the Smurfs. I mean,
yeah. Yeah, I love that quote that he's the biggest guy in the line. Like, where are we at? Josh, what's your thoughts on this? Who's the guy?
You just need a big heart. You need a big heart. You need a big compete level. That's it. And I don't condone this style of play, but that's the NHL we live in right now. The Oilers are just too easy to play against.
Yeah.
They're too nice. It's too easy to come in. You're on a scoring slump. Go play Edmonton. Your goalie needs some increase in his goals against average. Go play Edmonton. You got an injury to heal? Put him out against Edmonton. Nothing will happen to him.
Well, I've got Lotsberg and Bob the goalie on next, and we're going to talk a little bit of goaltending, obviously, when we got Bob the goalie on. But I saw something today, and you guys know JB on Twitter said, like, somebody said we got goalied again, And my curiosity is, like, how many times do we get goalied before we start blaming the offense? That was kind of what JB came back and said. I know we got it's always we got Connor McDavid, so it's hard to blame the offense. But at the same time, I mean, or were we, was it a team full of Connor Browns the last few games, or what? Like, what's going on here? Is it really the goaltending on the other team that's getting us down, or what's going on? Is it situational play? Maybe we're too easy to play against, but thoughts on that, guys? I mean, that's it's pretty damning when you think about it. It's like you said just now, Josh, is if you want, you want your goaltender to have a game, like, play the Oilers.
Or if you want to rest your starter, play the Oilers. The backups come in, they look like Pat Raw.
Yeah.
Like, I said last night, the third period. I didn't get to see the first two periods. Thanks, Sportsnet. Fix your app, please. But
Yeah.
if you have any problems with the app, put it in the chat, please, and I'll copy and paste all those to my Twitter and send them off as like a petition to get the app fixed. Every time I hit restart, it jumps to live and I get the game ruined. But anyway, so the third period, I was saying it looks like it just looked like they were around the perimeter just lobbing pucks in, just, from anywhere, which is great, except they were the softest little shots, those Boosh bombs from the back. All he could muster was some wrist shots, which are pretty hard, but teams get in the lane. We have a lot of block shots. We do get a lot of shots on net, but we only have flurries. We're so streaky, the Oilers. Like, they go on win streaks, then they go on losing streaks. It's never 1-1, and it happens every year.
Mhm.
And we don't play good in the first period, and then we play good in the third period, and we win a game that way. Or we suck, but then our power play goes on fire, and then everything about us is streaky. And I think we go in flurries where we have a lot of pressure, but that's only for about 5-6 minutes. The rest of the time, it's perimeter shots, and there's, like I said, there's no one going to the net. Hyman does what he can. He goes in and models it.
Hyman's
You got to
been
crash
great.
the net, bang for those rebounds. We get one shot and done. One shot and done. We don't get one shot and then a second and third. We do keep possession in the offensive zone quite a bit, but we don't really accomplish anything with that. We just kill the clock while the other team has a 2-goal lead. So,
Yeah. Dursa?
Oh man, I'm worried about this team. Like, you win 8 and you're riding high, and you figure, okay, yeah, the start of the year was just a blip on the radar. And I was in the building on Saturday against the Panthers, and that was a pedestrian game. I thought, maybe they were hungover or tired or something, because that was not Edmonton Oiler hockey. And then, so they needed to get out on the road. They get out on the road and they played pretty much the same game. It just, I don't know. Like, special teams seemed like they turned a corner, and now there's regression there. And, is this who they are, or was some of that streak who they are, or do we still not really know who the fuck they are? I don't know.
Yeah. Good point. I mean, this is something, though, that I think when we started the season, we expected to have a phenomenal top 6, right? Like, I know, Josh, you're talking about the bottom 6 supporting, but I think we expected to have like a top 6 that could move mountains. And what we've had is a top 4 and sometimes a top 3, and never a top 5 or a top 6. There's always been a problem. Either Evander Kane's not playing well, but really there's the 3 that the 3 we could count on, and Draisaitl's even, he's sort of gone away for, a game at a time here and there. And I love Draisaitl's game. I don't think that, he's been the problem, but Hyman, McDavid, and Nuge have been pretty good all year. They make up a top 3 that is pretty awesome. They're good for a goal, 2 goals a game, and then from there, right? Like you don't know. It's kind of like a surprise bag every game. You come in and who are you getting? Because realistically, Draisaitl and Kane should always be on, right? Like, they're good enough that they are always on. And there's no 6th player there that's really sat, right? Like, there's no 6th player at all in terms of, like, Fogel's going to sit on there tomorrow probably. Connor Brown, as we know, we know where he's been, and he was supposed to possibly fill out the top line so that you could drop one of those guys off. The only guy that really has been playing outside of that with any level of consistency is the guy that is probably, nobody expected much from, other than to be a heart and soul guy, and he's been that, which is Sam Gagner. Right? Like, he's, you know what you're going to get out of him. So I don't know. I mean, I don't know what Knobloch's going to do, but if you're talking about top 6, then that's probably the guy I'd throw up there on on the top 6, just because I know you're going to get something out of him, right? But this has been it explains the season. It's a lack of consistency, and if you can't even want a bottom 6 if you don't even have a top 6.
Well, I
Like
do feel like the bottom 6 can help the top 6, though.
they
Like
sure can, but
last year I did a video on McLeod and Ryan and those guys. They every time they left the ice, there was an offensive zone faceoff. So the top 6 would come out and have an offensive zone faceoff and spend all their time in the offensive zone, get something done. That's been happening over the times. I'd like to see the stats on that. I have no stats to back up, but it just feels like they have to generate everything. Even something simple as changing your shift on the way up instead of the way back. Like trying to lag it out for that extra time and going in and forcing a chance and then coming off when you should have come off on the way out and let someone fresh go out and get that chance. A little thing like that. I give a guy I play with a breakaway every week. I give him 2 breakaways at least by changing so that he could sneak on and get himself at the blue line, come right off the bench and get a stretch pass. Stuff like that. Uh, the bottom 6 can do little things like that by creating space and then getting themselves off and letting the big guys fill that space. I'm not saying they're not doing it. I just haven't noticed either way. And to me, that says as much as if they are doing it. I would notice if they were, I think. It just hasn't been as fun to watch. It's been like when they get down, usually we're like, well, they can come back from anything. This team's exciting and they're fun to watch. And right now there's a little bit of nervousness and it's just a whole different vibe. Now, how would we feel, I wonder? I asked this one other year. Like I said, they're streaky. They started the year so bad and then went on this winning streak and sort of leveled out. Now, of course, they've lost 3 in a row. They can't seem. How would we feel about the year if they were 13-14, but they were like win 2, lose 2, win 1, lose 1? Would that feel any different than the highs
I'd
and the
probably
lows?
be more frustrated, to be fair.
Right?
Like if they were
Maybe, yeah.
13-14, at least this way I can visualize it as they just had an off stretch, right?
Right. Yeah, that's fair.
But that's a good question. I look at this like they've lost 3 in a row, but that out of those 3 games, they were guaranteed goal lead by Vasilevsky. Like in probably one of the best goaltending displays we've seen all year from a guy that's barely played. Like he only played 1 game prior to that, right? It was his first game in Vancouver, wasn't it? In fact, I didn't even know he played in Vancouver. And I was talking about it as if he was still injured before the game. But like phenomenal. That 4 goals were scored on him, I thought was a testament to how well the Oilers did play. And maybe a testament to the 7 goals on how much we definitely probably could use a little bit of goaltending help on occasion. I'll leave that for the last half hour. There's thoughts.
Yeah, apologize for getting a little out of control, but I'm frustrated. I mean, I was expecting this team to be challenging for division lead and best in the conference and maybe even in the entire NHL. I didn't want the President's Trophy, but because we all know what comes along with that. But I was totally taken aback, right from game 1, and that continued, and then the dismissal of Woody and Knobloch comes in and seems to have right the ship and you're happy with the way the defense started to figure out how to defend, and the forwards, were helping that out. And, Vasilevsky comes in and what could have been a 7-goal period, he keeps them in the game and gave them a chance, and they did the rest. He didn't score the 5 goals that they put in the net to take the lead, and then, the 2 empty netters. And then Florida, the wheels fell off the bus. That game was brutal. I mean, at first I was mad at the forwards for missing assignments, and then the defense had to follow that up and do some of their own. And it just and then they had a chance. they score a goal, and then Gagne gets a penalty shot, and there's a power play, and they have a chance to make a game out of that. And Sam loses the puck on the way in and just about beats Bobrovsky 5-hole anyway, but Bobrovsky makes a save, and power play does nothing. And so, you're out of that game, and then you go to New York, and your special teams let you down. You got a power play, and you give up a shorty, and that was the story of that one.
This, though, to me, is a tale of two seasons, right? Like, if the start of the season didn't happen the way it happened, then we don't care about a little 3-game losing streak where one of those games we played well enough to win, right?
Yeah,
they got some things they can go work on. But it matters now because we had such a terrible start, right?
It's definitely magnified for sure.
Yeah. So, look, if we hadn't had the start we had, we'd look at these three games as we'd be upset as fans, but we'd get through it.
Saturday night, I get back to my mom and dad's, and my dad says to me, well, they got to go 2 for 3 on this road trip now. Well, that just got tough.
Yeah. All right, guys, we're closing in on time spent. Appreciate having you here. I'll ask Dursa what's up next for 97 Octane.
We are going to be probably the only ones talking hockey on Christmas Day. So
All right.
8:30 Christmas Day, we're going to do a show, talk a little World Juniors, I guess, and the week that was with the Edmonton Oilers.
Perfect. I got my Canada jersey on right now, so it's good. Which I might add 3 Halifax Mooseheads will be on the team this year, which is pretty phenomenal and the most out of the queue. 3 deserving players as well. Josh, what's coming up next for Tough Call Pod?
Oh boy, I got my first 6 episodes up on Heavy Hockey YouTube channel right now, and nice. I'll have the next 6 before the new year, and that should catch me up to current date. But with all this talk about boarding and all that, like I just can't. Every week I feel like I'm going to get caught up, and then there's 7 hits. Like it's just crazy how much the people think it's just a new problem from 2 weeks ago, right? And they're like, "Ooh, this is wow, what an increase in violence." No, it never stops. We just don't care because it's in Arizona on a Tuesday night, but it's the same hits that happen everywhere, right? So yeah, I'll get caught up by the new year. Have my next 6 episodes out over the Christmas break, and start off the new year up to date.
All right, just a quick prediction for the next 2 games: Jersey and Rangers. Josh.
Oh boy, 2 wins. Gotta be. That's all I can say.
2 wins. All right.
2 wins.
Dursa?
Oh man, I'm gonna say 5-3 Edmonton and Jersey tomorrow, and 6-4 Oilers in the Big Apple.
All right. The other guys weren't so confident. Even Eric Friesen, who never would be the Oilers would be 82-0 if you asked him early on, said 1-1 on this on these last 2. All right, guys, thanks for joining. When we get back, we'll have Ryan Lutzberg and Bob Schmidt, the goalie, joining us. You're here at Oilers Live on the Heavy Hockey Network, a friend of Edmonton Sports Talk. See you shortly. Join Devin, Bruce, and the rest of the fantasy hockey hacks right here on Edmonton Sports Talk, Wednesdays at 9 p.m. Mountain, or tune in at youtube.ca/heavyhockey, and make sure you like and subscribe. Looking for a hockey fix?